Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. In my last video we talked about the potential where we could see a big rejection not only in the SPX but Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptos as a whole. So far as we're getting in the start of this week we are seeing exactly that. The markets have sold off, many of the markets have rejected, but is this ultimately going to be deciding that we're going to be seeing new lows, or is this another one of those bear traps before we get another nice bounce? I'm going to be breaking down everything that you guys need to see so that you guys can stay the most profitable over the next couple months as we fully cement a bottom inside of this cycle. If you're new and just find this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. Now, if you guys are new and you're just getting into these markets and you want extra educational content to teach you guys how to be more profitable, some of the basics with the market, links are in the description to go ahead and download my free beginner's guide to crypto ebook. It's going to help you guys out a lot, which is why I made it free to download. Links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so in my last video, we were right at this 50-day moving average, and it looked like we could finally be at the point where we were going to break above and hold support. This is going to be a really important indicator throughout analyzing the trend of the crypto markets. As you guys can see, it was a really important trending indicator throughout our entire bull period. The second that the bear market rolled through, it became resistance. And we can see that it's literally just been resistance throughout our entire year-long correction. Now, most recently, we had our second attempt at a breakout. We were holding above, we managed to close back below, we had an attempt at getting back above once more, but this was stuffed. And I talked about why I expected it to ultimately pull back. I talked about why it was most likely going to pull back based off of what the SPX was doing, as well as based off the dollar. And so now that we've had this pullback, we're at an interesting point where a lot of people are wondering, is this the rejection? Is this showing a lot of weakness to where we're actually going to be seeing Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptos go to another new low? Or is this just going to be further chop as we fully cement some type of bottom formation? And honestly, guys, I could see it either or. At the end of the day, the likelihood scenario that this is going to resolve in the direction of the trend is just going to be higher. I mean, the fact of the matter is, guys, this market has been in a downtrend for the better part of a year. And now that we're at this low point, the fact that we're back below this indicator, the fact that we're rejecting off of it as resistance, it's most likely going to continue to go down. And that's why I pinpointed the idea that if we do get one more final low, I would expect that that's the final capitulation of the cycle. And really where we were watching for where that final low could take us, I've really got four targets. The first one's going to be here at about 16.2. Our second one's going to be down here at about 14K, just under 14K. Our third one's going to be right here at about 12.5. And then our final one's going to be down here at about 10.5. This is honestly the last place that I would expect anywhere of a sell-off. I don't expect that we'd be going lower than that. And if we did manage to go all the way back down, below 14K, then that really changes a lot of things on the big picture. What that would tell me is that this entire cycle was just the first impulse of an even bigger cycle that's going to be playing out over the next, 5 to 10 years would be my guess. And this is definitely a scenario that we could watch for. Or potentially we're at this point where maybe we don't manage to get for a lower low. What if this is already kind of going to be our cycle low and we're just going to be waiting to consolidate kind of in this range? And if that's the case, honestly, the only real comparison I have is kind of what happened inside of our last bear market. Now, if you guys remember some of that consolidation, it reminds me very similar of what we're seeing today. Now, when we bottomed, we went through this kind of period where we made our first lower high. We got rejected. We sold all the way back down to pretty much the cycle low. We bounced back up. This second bounce was a bull trap. We get rejected. And this leads us to one more final capitulation. I've been watching this just as a way to kind of look at a bullish scenario. If we do get a bullish scenario, I would expect that it would play out similar to this. Because keep in mind, guys, the fact of the matter is we did manage to bottom here. We bounced up. This is a lower high. We came back down and retested our lows, and we bounced. Even though we rejected here, this is pretty much on par with what we saw in the bottom of our last bear market. Even though this was happening on about a 1.5-year basis, this is happening on a shorter time frame. And so it's maybe not going to play out in the same way, but if it does, we don't want to see this break below support. Our low here is at about 17.5. It is possible that we could drop and make another one of these, but we don't want to see us actually sell below this level. If we sell below this level, then I think the likely scenario of us going all the way back down to about 14K is most likely what's going to be playing out for us. That's just the way that the market's looking. I mean, we don't need to overcomplicate things. The fact of the matter is we've been in a downtrend, lower lows, lower highs. We did just reject off our 50-day moving average again, and so the trend is still down. Nothing's changed on any sort of big picture basis. But with that being said, if we're going to see a bullish scenario, I would expect to play it somewhere kind of like this, what we saw in our last bear market, where if we manage to come back down to this support again, we don't want to see us break below. A break below support, in my opinion, would signal a final low. Probably, I'm not going to even say where it's exactly going to go to, because I don't care. For me, it's not like I'm buying Bitcoin, it's not like I'm buying Ethereum, it's not like I'm buying XRP or Chainlink or any of these other cryptos. You guys already know my focus is Pulse Chain, my focus is the Pulse Chain ecosystem. And so if Bitcoin makes a lower low, nothing changes for me aside from the fact that, we made a lower low. And so I'm not really too worried one way or another. If we get a lower low, it's just going to be a better opportunity for all of the people that are going to be buying. And for me anyways, watching for Pulse Chain, Richard Hard's always said that he's not going to release until about 11K. Well, he didn't directly say that, but everybody knows that he's waiting to release Pulse Chain until the very bottom of the bear market. Richard Hart has had the target of 11K per Bitcoin for, the better part of a year now. And so my guess is that he's just waiting for one more final low. If this turns into another big sell-off and we're not able to get back above, I would be expecting a quick capitulation wherever the low of the cycle is going to be, whether that's going to be 16.2, whether it's 14, or whether that's all the way down here at 11K. I don't really care. I would expect the final low to happen pretty quick. And whenever this final low takes place, it's most likely going to get bought up pretty quick, and we do something like this, right? We would get a nice buyback. We'd probably rally back up to the high that we made at about 25K. And then we'd probably pull back from there. And this is going to be taking us right into the end of the year time frames. Remember guys, what we're looking for is about 1 year from our cycle top. And 1 year from our cycle top is going to be taking us to about the very first week of November. So if we do get a final low, it's going to be taking us right into that 4-year cycle low, where we would expect to see the final cycle low play out. But keep in mind, guys, that we still have price action. My focus isn't necessarily in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to move, Ethereum's going to move, but you got to keep in mind that with all of these other cryptos that have already had a cycle, many of these cryptos have bag holders, right? They have people that bought the cycle top. One of the reasons why I'm not so focused in on buying, more of these cryptos that I've already accumulated from the last cycle is because I want to find something that doesn't have a lot of sell-side pressure. I want to find something that really has an opportunity of really only seeing upside potential. A lot of my best performing assets were just cryptos that I got in early, didn't really know a whole lot about them, but they ended up getting severe adoption all the way up throughout the cycle, and they became massive winners inside of my portfolio. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was simply willing to go and buy new cryptos that I hadn't heard about, that hadn't made a new cycle. And those were by far my biggest returning assets. And so for us going into this next bull run, I'm not worried about Bitcoin. I'm not worried about all these other cryptos. Yes, I have exposure to them, but I'm much more focused on those cryptos that don't have any bag holders. They don't have any sell side pressure. What are going to be the ones that have just the most opportunity for upside? And that's what I'm focused on. You're not going to see that with Bitcoin. You're not going to see that with Ethereum. You're not even going to see that with some of the other cryptos that maybe aren't even as valuable, like Chainlink. And if that's the case, I don't really care. What I'm focused in on are those ones that are really new to the cycle. And for me, I don't see a better opportunity than Pulse Chain. And so even though if we got a lower low, it doesn't change anything for the people that are waiting for Pulse Chain. And so I don't really care about buying Bitcoin. It's not really my big focus right now because the opportunity is not going to be made inside of buying Bitcoin. Sure, you can buy Bitcoin, you can hold it throughout the cycle, you will make good profit. But I'm here making the life-changing opportunities. I'm not messing around with Bitcoin. I make good money on Bitcoin. I made good money on Ethereum. I bought Ethereum at the cycle lows. But it still wasn't even as good as some of those altcoins that I just put, a few $1,000s in that did 50 or 100x. So for me, that's why I'm really focused in on Pulse Chain first and foremost. Now, when it comes down to it, guys, in my last video, we were literally right at this resistance box, and I told you guys that I was expecting that this most likely wasn't going to break out. I said that as long as we were below this red box, it was resistance, and we were going to see lower lows, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, if this rejection, this is a huge sell candle in here. If this doesn't tell you that there's a lot of weakness inside of the market for the SPX, I don't know what will. The fact that the SPX had this big of a sell-off, and crypto also went back below the 50-day, that's what tells me that we're most likely going to get one final low inside of this cycle. And then if we also come over here, the dollar bounced directly off that 50-day moving average, like I also updated you guys with in that video. The 50-day moving average has proved to be significant support throughout this entire rally inside of the US dollar. And the fact of the matter is, this is going to continue to hold support above as long as Bitcoin's in a bear market. Because here's the thing, this market started trending the second that Bitcoin topped. So as Bitcoin topped at 65 and 69,000, the US dollar was bottoming and then starting to make new highs, right? And so now that we're out of even the highs that we made in our last bear market low in 2020 as well as 2016, I believe we're getting closer and closer to that cycle top, but we're not there. I mean, we can look at the RSI. We know we're still below resistance. We know that the RSI can stay overbought or oversold for extended periods of time. With us now retesting the 50-day and bouncing, I expect that we're going to get at least one more new high. And I'm not going to sit here and try and call tops, but on the bigger picture basis, we are getting close to a major cycle top. We've already finished wave 3, wave 4, and we're literally in the finishing touches of wave 5 of 5. This is going to put in a multi-year cycle top for the US dollar that's already been in a multi-year downtrend, right? So we know that all of the warning signs are there for, this to be stopping. That we're going to see a big reversal in the dollar. If the dollar reverses, we're going to see a big reversal in the S&P 500. If that happens, we're also going to see a reversal in Bitcoin. But if the dollar goes for one more high and the SPX continues to get weakness and we start dropping even lower, then crypto's definitely going for a lower low. And the way that the market structure is looking right now, unless we get this miracle where somehow we end up bouncing roughly where we're at, and we don't get that lower low, I think that the likelihood scenario is we're most likely going to stitch in one final sell-off. With that final sell-off, I don't think it's going to last long. I would expect this to be much more like a V-bottom, because you already know there's a lot of other people waiting on the sidelines looking to buy. This Bitcoin cycle has been interesting because we saw a lot of institutions and people that we look at as more smart people. They actually bought the cycle top. Like if we look at where Michael Saylor was doing the majority of his buying, he was buying the majority of his Bitcoin up here at the cycle top. And so a lot of these people are actually bag holding. A lot of these people that we thought were really good investors bought the cycle top, and we're seeing a lot of those people that are looking to be buying more crypto. Michael Saylor did another $500 million loan of some kind, whether it was raising it through his company or whether he was raising it through people he knew. I'm not 100% sure on those details, but he did buy another $500 million. So even the people that bought the top are still buying. That should tell you that they have the conviction, willing to continue to average into this. But my guess, if we get one more low in here, I think that we're going to see a lot of institutional money kind of come to the table. We'll probably see some good news come out as well. Generally, in the bottom of the cycle, you're going to see some big news article that'll come out that'll be very positive on crypto. And then that can kind of give us a lot of confidence. Either way, I don't care about all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Like I've stated 100 million times before, my focus is Pulse Chain. In my honest opinion, I don't think you're going to find a whole lot of better opportunities. Yes, there's always going to be cryptos that do 100,000x returns. Yes, you're always going to find new ecosystems that do the same thing. But when it comes down to it, I really do have a lot of confidence going into this play. And so I give you guys these updates as a way to kind of calm your nerves. For the people that are really worried about the markets going lower, don't be. There's going to be plenty of opportunities scattered throughout the market. I'm focused in on one opportunity specifically, and that's Pulse Chain. And so if we get a final low, it's just going to give me more opportunity for upside by buying Pulse Chain. I'm still going to hold my Bitcoin regardless. And I think that that's a big thing you guys should realize. If you're here investing, you got to remember why you're investing or what's your time frame for investment. For me, I've always believed Bitcoin was the future. So I don't have a problem holding on to my Bitcoins even if I, have to go through a couple cycles to do so. I know what Bitcoin is. I know Bitcoin's the future, and I know many of these other cryptos in the ecosystem are also going to be used. So for that, I'm not really so focused in on this potential of a 10% dip it doesn't matter to me because I see the potential of Bitcoin being worth invaluable figures. Keep in mind, guys, there's only ever 21 million Bitcoin, and a lot of those are even lost forever from the early days when people lost their wallets and lost their miners and just simply forgot about their keys and things like that. So, with all of that being said, there's all of this opportunity inside of the market. And with that being said, I don't think that we should be so worried about, the potential of a 10% dip when we're thinking in terms of, we see the US dollar, we see all of the crap with the stimulus that they've been doing. They're literally hyperinflating the dollar. The dollar's going to be worthless. You're already seeing China and Russia creating a world reserve currency aside from the dollar. Every single red flag for the US dollar should be just popping out in front of your face right now. And if it's not, you should really do some research because it's inevitable that the dollar will collapse. What happens after that, I really don't know. But I really believe cryptos are going to be the future of, the money and the infrastructure of money and blockchain and all of that stuff. So with that being said, if we get a final dip, it literally doesn't matter. There's 21 million Bitcoin, maybe even less than that, let's just say. There's going to be infinite dollars that can be created. Eventually, when the dollar collapses and we switch to whatever the new currency is going to be, how are we going to value Bitcoins? Well, we're no longer valuing them against the dollar. We're now valuing them as Bitcoin, right? There's only, let's say, 20 million Bitcoin in existence. There's over 40 million millionaires in the world. So there's twice as many millionaires in the world as there are Bitcoins for millionaires to buy. So that should already tell you guys how scarce this asset is. When everybody realizes what Bitcoin is, when everybody realizes that they need to go accumulate some of this, it's going to be too late. And by that point, I firmly believe that everybody else will be priced out. And so I think that this stuff's the future. The fact that we value these in dollars is almost silly because these are way more scarce assets than we lead to believe. And I specifically am talking about Bitcoin. So 10% dip, yada yada, it doesn't matter. I'm focusing on other stuff, and I think that you guys should also be focusing on the big picture as well. Even if you're ignoring Pulse Chain, if you're focused on Bitcoin, focus on the big picture. I guarantee you guys look back from now, and you're going to look back and be like, man, I should have bought as many Bitcoin, I should have sold my house, I should have sold my kids, pawned my wife off, all of that stuff to buy more Bitcoin. And I really believe people will look back on this moment and say that. Anyways, guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. For the people who also like to join my VIP, follow the private trades that I take inside of my Discord server. Links are going to be in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.